have currently lust, greed, anger, envy, pride, and so forth, they're also there in the soul. I mean, they're there eternally, but in the spiritual world, all these qualities are being engaged in Krishna's service. Whereas in the material world, it's like a perverted reflection. Remember, we talked about the upside down banyan tree mentioned in the beginning of the 15th chapter. So yeah, everything that's here is in the spiritual world, but here it's perverted. So, we're using these dormant qualities that are in the soul. Now they're involved in the modes of material nature. But if we surrender to Krishna and come back to Krishna consciousness, then these qualities get used properly in Krishna's service. And a good example, of course, of anger is Hanuman. And we've talked about that before. Hanuman got very angry against Ravana and the other Rakshasas in Lanka and broke and burnt so much of the city like that. So he was very angry. I mean, Prabhupada said, even in regards to the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said the whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita was Krishna's trying to make Arjuna angry. Krishna's trying to make Arjuna angry. Why? So that he would fight. I mean, you can't fight unless you're angry. So Krishna wants Arjuna to fight and kill the Kauravas. So I mean, that's a radical outlook on what the Bhagavad Gita is about. Krishna's trying to make Arjuna angry like that, and that anger would be used in Krishna's service. That's the whole point. That Krishna wanted that to take place. Remember, if you look at the famous verses that even many Hindus know in the Bhagavad Gita, if they know any, fourth chapter text 7 and 8, that why Krishna comes to the material world, why these different incarnations come. Two purposes: to deliver the devotees and kill the demons, like that. Paritranaya sadhunam vanashaya chudaskutam. That's in text 8.
Yeah.
But yada yada hidamasya glanirvavati bharata abhutanam madamasya taratmanam srujamyaham. Paritranaya sadhunam vanashaya chudaskutam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuga yuga. So that's why he comes, to deliver the devotees. Devotees need to be delivered from what? From the demons. From the demons. The devotees don't have any problems in the material world. They can, tolerate heat and cold and, these basic things. But something that's very intolerable is the demons. So Krishna, as we know with Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't have any problem until his father was trying to kill him in so many ways. He's a real demon. So like that, the demons create so many problems, which is like intolerable for the devotees. So Krishna comes and delivers the devotees from the demons. And how do the devotees get delivered from the demons? Krishna kills them. Either he kills them directly, like Nrsimhadev killed directly Hiranyakashipu, like that, or indirectly. Means then God gets his devotees to do it. God gets his devotees to do it. And in any case, I mean, you can't get anyone more angry than Nrsimhadev. Oh my God. Even the demigods couldn't get near him after he killed Hiranyakashipu. Even his wife, Lakshmi, didn't recognize her husband. She said, I've never seen my husband in such an angry mood. I can't recognize him. He was like so ferocious like that. Only Prahlad could approach him like that, and Prahlad managed to pacify him. He was so angry. And also devotees, devotees also in the Lord's service can get angry, and that's not regarded as a bad quality. That's regarded as a good quality. If it's said, if the Lord is offended or a devotee is offended and the other devotee does not react to that, not get upset or angry by that, then there's something wrong with that devotee. They don't have any love. I mean, how can you have any love for somebody and you don't get angry if they're being insulted or abused or attacked or whatever. If you don't get angry, then what kind of love do you have, you know? You know, like if someone attacked Gulshan's daughter, if in front of Gulshan, if he doesn't get angry, there's something wrong with him, you know, like
But
that. It's like should be there.
but when the Krishna come as a Buddha and no anger at all. If somebody spit on the Buddha, he just thank you and walk away. He doesn't get angry, and he'd never say anyone to be angry or any of his disciple or anything to be non-violent, no angry. If anyone would say harsh
Yeah,
words,
that was an
anything,
unusual mission. That's an exception. That's one avatar that is not you know, killing the demons. That's an exception to the rule in the Lord's avatars.
even somebody will take the Buddha's son, he would not get angry. Even take his wife, he would not get angry. Regardless, he said just zero.
Yeah, but and that's interesting also that Vaishnavas do not follow Buddha's teachings, although we respect him as an incarnation Lord, but we do not follow his teachings, and his teachings go against the Vedas, go against the Vedic teachings. He was teaching atheism, and that we know that why he was doing that, acting in a contrary way. We've discussed that many times.
But in the Vishnu Puran, it says it's an incarnation of Krishna. Buddha was an incarnation of Krishna.
Yeah, and the famous poet devotee Jayadev Goswami in the Dasavatar Stotra, he's one of the 10 main incarnations, Dasavatar, as Buddha. Unfortunately, most modern sculptures and things that do the Dasavatars, they leave him out. We've got 10 little sculptures of the Dasavatars, but Buddha's not there, and they replaced Buddha with Balaji. They replaced him with Balaji because they don't, a lot of the modern Hindus and so forth, they do not recognize Buddha as an incarnation because he was preaching atheism.
No, they recognize as a incarnation, but they don't want to include him because they are like, why pray Buddha? Leave Buddha out. It's like that. It's not that they don't know about him. They know he is incarnation of Krishna, but they don't. I feel it's like a bigger. They don't see the bigger picture. They're just thinking, oh, he's just preaching atheism.
Yeah.
But so leave him out. We don't want anything.
So they often leave him out of the Dasavatara. Yeah.
But many places you will see actually Buddha being there also. Like these are like just people selling things.
Yeah. So the only question is, whatever it is, whether it's anger or lust or greed or whatever, that is it. Am I manifesting that quality for my own sense gratification, or am I manifesting it for Krishna's service, for Krishna's pleasure? Is it for Krishna's satisfaction that I'm getting angry, or my satisfaction? When I'm not getting what I want, then I get angry, you know, because that's when it happens. We read that in 262, I think that is in Bhagavad Gita, that contemplating the objects of the senses, and one develops attachment for them, and from attachment, anger arises. No, from attachment, then lust arises, and from lust, anger. So that's in 262. So that kind of anger, yeah, definitely we want to leave that aside as a result of we have a desire and it's not getting fulfilled and we get angry. That kind of anger definitely has no value for a devotee, and a devotee should not be, you know, exhibiting that kind of anger. But an anger used in Krishna's service, because Krishna is being blasphemed or whatever, or the devotees are being hurt or whatever like that, then that should be there. It should be there. But I mean, the Brahmanas shouldn't be needing to deal with that kind of thing. And that's why in Vedic culture, the Kshatriyas are there. The Kshatriyas are specifically there in a system created by God himself to get angry, and when the need arises, when people need to be protected from demoniac, from the demoniac people, that the Kshatriyas get angry.
Kshatriya is
And
allowed
Arjuna is
to
one of those in that category.
Kshatriya is allowed to do hunting and kill animal as well. And
Mm.
would they allowed to eat meat as well or not?
The animals that they've killed, sometimes they would, yep. At that time, there's no slaughterhouses. If you want to eat meat, you kill it yourself. No
So then
slaughterhouses. So
if any Kshatriya follow that Prabhupada, then how can it be possible? Prabhupada's four regulator principle. And
yeah, it is possible. It is possible that one could be a Kshatriya eating meat and still be a devotee. And we know many Kshatriya kings were great devotees, and some of them would eat meat also, even in recent times.
I think
Not all of them.
Pandavas used to eat
But
meat.
it's mentioned that out of the Pandavas, possibly only Bhima would eat. Possibly only Bhima out of the Pandavas. Bhima sometimes would eat like that. And I mean, what did he promise in the Battle of Kurukshetra?
That he'll drink the blood
That he'll drink the blood of
Dushasana.
Dushasana, which he
Yeah.
did. He ripped his heart out and like drunk.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He was so angry. Can you imagine how angry Bhima was? Because Dushasana grabbed his wife, Draupadi, like that, and tried to disrobe her. He was so angry. All the Pandavas had to grab his arms and legs, and they were Bhima was dragging all of his brothers towards him, and they all tried to stop him, which they did manage to stop. And he wanted to rip him to pieces on the spot for insulting his wife. He was so he made a vow. I'm going to drink his blood, and I'm going to kill all of the Kauravas, which he did. He did. All the Dhritarashtra and Gandhari had 100 sons, headed by Duryodhana. Bhima killed all of them. He killed all of them. Pandavas purposely didn't kill any of them because Bhima had made a vow to kill them all. So they didn't want to interfere with his vow. So they let Bhima kill all of those 100 sons. And the last one to go was Duryodhana, and we know how they had a wrestle. They had a wrestle which lasted for many days, and finally Bhima broke his legs, and he died like that. So yeah, we don't say in Vaishnava culture that anything is bad. All that we say is that everything is Krishna's energy and everything should be used in Krishna's service. Everything should be used in Krishna's service like that. Anything that's not used in Krishna's service is bad. But anything used in Krishna's service is good like that. Okay. Would anyone like to say anything about those points? Everyone accept that? It's saying that the gopis, right, who are regarded as the best devotees, they became perfect in their Krishna consciousness by what emotion? By what particular emotion? Then, by what emotion the
separation? Is it separation?
Oh, they definitely felt separation. But their emotion that they were feeling was lust. Attraction. But what the lust or the attraction was to what or who? It was only to Krishna, nobody else. They were only attracted by Krishna. They had so much. When Krishna played his flute, they just ran. They had so much desire. But that lust, that desire was to please Krishna's senses. So that lust is actually prema. It's not the normal calm. Lust is normally called calm in Sanskrit. Calm means the desire to please one's own senses. But their desire was so intense, so strong. I mean, they would even drop their babies, and cooking would be over and everything. Getting dressed would be over as soon as Krishna played his flute. They just had such an intense desire, but that desire was to go to Krishna and please Krishna's senses. So that lust became purified into love. You know the story in Krishna book, have a look if you don't know it, of Kubja. She was a hunchback mentioned in Krishna book. When Krishna first entered Mathura, she met Krishna and the cowherd boys met Kubja, and she was being employed by Kamsa to make sandalwood into pulp and then give that to Kamsa for him to apply that paste on his body for his sense gratification. So she was carrying it to Kamsa on the way, and Krishna said, "Give that to me. I want it for me and my friends." And she very happily did that. She was so attracted. Actually, she had lust for Krishna because obviously Krishna is the most handsome, beautiful man. So she had so much lust, but it was towards Krishna. And she personally applied the chandan on Krishna and Balaram's body, on their chest, bare chests, on their forehead and everything. And Krishna and Balaram were very satisfied. And she, like, immediately proposed to them in public. Oh, Krishna, you're so beautiful. I want to enjoy with you. And it's mentioned Krishna was very embarrassed in front of his friends to have this lady, hunchback lady, propose to him. And but Krishna was very pleased by her service, and he said, "Oh, I will definitely fulfill your desire, but I have some unfinished business to do, which was to kill Kamsa, and I have some unfinished business. As soon as I finish my business, I'll come and I'll come and meet you." And Krishna was so pleased.
But that was
He
after.
he put his feet on her feet, and he grabbed her with his hands by her cheeks, grabbed her cheeks with his hands, and then lifted upwards because she was hunchback, right? So immediately Krishna straightened her out. She got transformed into the most beautiful of all women. She was immediately transformed on the spot from an ugly hunchback into a most beautiful, like, goddess of fortune. And then Krishna killed Kamsa and so forth. And then he kept his word and he came to her house. And it's mentioned in her house she had many enjoyable things spread around the house, paintings on the wall of like naked people on the wall and everything like that, and tapestries and silks and soft beds and cushions and everything like that.
She's a prostitute.
She was like a prostitute. And then but it's mentioned when Krishna came, then having his association, the lust in her heart, the fire of lust, became transformed into prema. And she became a pure lover. And then she just wanted to please Krishna, didn't want to please herself anymore, like that. So this is the effect of Krishna consciousness, that these desires that are there, they just become transformed. So it's not that it's ever going to go away, these things, like lust and greed and anger, but they just have to be dovetailed in Krishna's service, connected in Krishna's service. And actually it's mentioned by Rupa Goswami, and mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Krishna Bhakti Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopalabhyate Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukritaya Nalabhyate. That there's only one price, Mulyam, only one price to get pure bhakti, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita, to become absorbed in thinking about Krishna. There's only one price to get that. If you want that, to be absorbed in thinking about Krishna, which Prabhupada took that verse and came up with the term Krishna consciousness. So the term Krishna consciousness comes from that verse from Rupa Goswami, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati. May my consciousness become absorbed in thinking about Krishna. So there's only one price to get that Krishna consciousness, and that is lolyam. Lolyam is a very interesting word, which you wouldn't expect. Greed. That's the price to pay. You have to pay that price to get to the higher levels of Krishna consciousness. You have to have intense greed to get Krishna consciousness. If you don't have greed for Krishna consciousness, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Of course, in the beginning, we don't have it. We're doing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. We just, as we mentioned on Saturdays with Narendra, we just following the rules and regulations under the guidance of the Guru. And like that, we're only doing it because he's telling us to do it out of duty and everything like that. Chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regs, do it out of duty. But the idea is that if we repeatedly do our duty again and again and again and again, slowly what happens is that spontaneous love in the heart awakens for Krishna. But we just have to be steadfast and very steady in doing our duty. And slowly out of that intense desire will come, especially if you associate with devotees that have
Krishna Prema.
Krishna Prema, or that have that greed, that intense love for Krishna. If you associate with someone that has that greed, there's a good chance it might rub off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
No, there's a
it's
saying,
just
if you associate with a drunk, there's a good chance you
yeah,
become a
it's
drunkard.
like
If you associate with a saint.
You can give anyone whatever you got. Whatever you don't have, you can't give. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
as a devotee
Yeah.
can give that. Non-devotee, they haven't got, so they can't give. If
Yeah.
you don't have a $10 million, you can't give $10 million.
Yeah.
Because you don't have. Only what you have, that's what you can give. That's
Yeah.
what the devotee has got and they can give.
Yeah. Yeah. But even if we're not having that physical association, it's still not the end of the world, because if you're reading Prabhupada's books, you're actually associating with all these rasika devotees that have that intense greed for Krishna. You know, by reading Prabhupada's books, you're associating, of course, with Prabhupada. And he is definitely greedy for Krishna. And also, like in Bhagavatam, you're associating with Lord Shiva, with the four Kumaras, with Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, the gopis in the 10th canto, the 9 Yogendras in the 11th canto, with Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, like that. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, associating with Lord Chaitanya, he's the ultimate rasika, you know, being in the mood of Radharani. And then with the 6 Goswamis and, you know, all these Raghunath Das and so many great personalities, and King Prataparudra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and so many, gradually we get infected by that. Gradually we get infected by that. But if we don't read Prabhupada's books, then we're not going to get it, you know. Or if you don't, you know, when there are physically devotees around that have that, you know, advanced Krishna consciousness, so we don't take advantage to associate with them, well, you're not going to get it then. But one way or another, physically or through the Vani, through reading the books, then we need to have that association with those that have that, you know, intense desire to please Krishna and serve Krishna. I mean, Prabhupada said that my motto in life is everything for Krishna and nothing for me. I mean, that's it. That's it. That's what we want. You know, and if you keep hearing that from Prabhupada and associating with that kind of energy, then gradually you may get it. If you're called Bhagyavan Jiva, means fortunate. If you're fortunate, if you have the purity in your heart, some purity in your heart to be able to accept that energy, then you'll get it like that. And the Hare Krishna mantra is gradually, day by day, making us more purified. Every day we chant, gradually become more and more purified. Prabhupada said, it's like 1 cent, 1 cent, 1 cent. And you just imagine you got a spiritual piggy bank. And every day you enter in 1 cent, 1 cent, 1 cent into that spiritual piggy bank. When it becomes full, then your heart will be so soft and you'll be ready to accept when Prabhupada says, my motto in life is everything for Krishna, nothing for me, so.
It's very
Slowly,
difficult. It's very
Prabhupada, Johnny's saying it's very difficult. Prabhupada would always say, what is the difficulty?
difficulty. Yeah.
What is the
Yeah,
difficulty?
true.
The difficulty is not actually any difficulty. The only difficulty is in
It's
us,
yeah.
that we don't want to accept it. Actually, there's nothing difficult. Is the chanting difficult? It's the easiest thing on the planet. Is the prasadam, eating prasadam difficult? And it's the easiest thing on the planet. Is worshipping the deity, seeing the deity difficult? And it's the easiest thing on the planet. Like that. But, the thing is, if you don't want to do it, well, you've made it, that's your difficulty. There's no actual difficulty. So Prabhupada's pointing that out. What is the difficulty? That's all in our crazy mind. The difficulty is only us in our crazy mind, that we don't want to accept this so easy process. Kevala Ananda Kanda. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda are regarded as the most merciful incarnations, because they're freely giving love of God. Just chant Hare Krishna and get love of God. But if you don't want to chant, well, then it is very difficult. But actually, it's very easy. But, if you don't want to take up the process, and that's only in our crazy mind if we don't want to do it, Prabhupada loved to tell that what do you call it, cartoon, where the wife is telling the husband, chant, and the husband says, can't, with the same energy that it would take to chant, but he used that energy to say, I can't do it, like that. So, and it's not that we can't, but it's just we don't want to.
Interestingly, that verse you said, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Madhi, it's spoken by Ramananda Raya. It's in the Padyavali, but Padyavali verses are all Rupa Goswami's compilation from other places. No?
Yeah.
So it's mentioned by Ramananda Raya.
Who was the topmost Rasika.
Yeah.
He's actually, Ramananda Roy is an incarnation of Vishaka, either Lalita or Vishaka, who were the two main Gopi assistants of Radharani. So yeah, high level, coming from high level person. We're so fortunate. We can't imagine our good fortune to be becoming in touch with the words spoken by these topmost persons in all the three worlds, in all creation. We're so fortunate. How many people get to hear from Ramananda Roy, from, Lalita, Vishaka, like that, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Only a handful, and we're in that handful. We're so fortunate, just some thousands like that out of billions.
But see, but then we get swayed by the material energy so much. We're so attracted by the material energy. I mean, like you're saying, we're so fortunate. We have all this access, right? But I'm talking about myself here. It's so easy to get swayed to other nonsense rather than just keep the consciousness on these topics. But also, at the same time, it's like sometimes it gets a bit much. Like you were saying, Prabhupada will say, what's the difficulty? But it's like, it just gets too much.
Yeah, because we've got our mind and false ego is in between. In between the soul and Krishna is our crazy mind and false ego. So yeah, we're in the process to purify that mind and false ego. So we just got to continue the process. Have faith. What does Rupa Goswami say? Utsahan nishtaya dharya. You got to be enthusiastic. There's 6 things favorable to Krishna consciousness. This is the 2nd and 3rd verse of the Nectar of Instruction. So Utsahan, you got to be enthusiastic. Nishtaya dharya, you got to be confident
and patient.
Yeah, you will succeed. You got to be confident that you will succeed, not because you're super duper, but because Krishna and your guru are so merciful that they're going to save your backside. That's what we're confident in. Their mercy is so great. Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that they're going to save us. And you got to be patient,
Prabhupada gives the example of patient, he says, It's like how a woman gets married, a girl gets married, and then she's wanting child immediately. It won't happen.
I want a child. I want a child. No, you've got to wait 9 months, my dear.
It's not going to happen immediately.
There's a pregnancy period. It doesn't just pop out in 2 seconds like that. So you have to be patient, but you will get the delivery. You will get delivered the goods like that.
You will be delivered.
And then it's mentioned, and then you got to follow the activities, recommended activities, tat tat karma pavatana. And that Prabhupada's given us that, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regs, try to preach like that. And then Sangha Chagat, you've got to give up bad association. So that's very important. You have to give up bad association. Because that, like I said, if you associate with a drunkard, you become a drunk. Associate with a saint, you become a saint. So bad association, we should give that up. I mean, of course, we associate with so many people. I associate with hunters and everyone like that, but I don't hang out with them intimately. I don't eat with them and all that kind of stuff. We're going probably on Saturday to Pack and Save, our supermarket, and there'll be all kinds of crazy people there, but we're going to give them prasadam, so we give them Krishna's association. We're not taking their association. Sometimes they might offer us nonsense stuff, but we don't take that nonsense from them. We just give them Krishna conscious stuff. So in that way, we're, giving up bad association. And then Satovrate, which means following the footsteps of the acharyas. So that's what we're doing. We're following in the footsteps of Prabhupada and our guru and so forth. And then the unfavorable things have to be given up. So that's atyahara, prayasascha, too greedy for money, and also eating too much and too greedy for money. And then prayasas, endeavoring too hard for some material achievement, just over endeavor. And then prajalpo niyamagraha, gossip, talking too much mundane talk and gossip, that has to be given up. That's unfavorable. Niyamagraha, following rules and regulations just very ritualistically without knowing why we're doing it, just being a fanatic for rules. And on the other side is being really lazy about the rules. So both extremes are not good. If you're too fanatical about the rules without knowing what's the purpose of the rule, that's not good. And also just being too lazy with the rules. And then janasanga chalulyam cha, so associating with materialistic people. And then lulyam, which is greed. So but greedy for material things. So greedy for material things is unfavorable. But the opposite to that, greed for Krishna, is the only way to achieve perfection, is being greedy for Krishna like that. So one greed for enjoying our own senses is going to destroy our bhakti. And the other greed, when we have a strong, intense desire to please Krishna, is the only way to get bhakti. So it's interesting. So it's not the particular thing that's good or bad, but how you use it. Is it in Krishna's service or for us? Interesting, huh? Okay. So now let's offer respect to Prabhupada. Om Jnanatamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight transcendent knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We continue our reading of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 10, entitled The Opulence Absolute. Text number 16. So we're just recapping, just to say that the best way to know God is from God himself, in text 15, or from a devotee. And we can know about God from a devotee because they are following in the disciplic succession. They are very accepting whatever Krishna says. They are accepting that. So that's what Arjuna says in text 14. I totally accept his truth. all they have told me. So, you know, Krishna knows himself, so he tells that to a devotee, and the devotee accepts that. So we have to have great faith in Krishna's words. And that is what a devotee is. A devotee is a very faithful person, has so much faith, trust in Krishna. And others that don't have faith in what Krishna says, they're demons. They're demons. Like that. So, and that is the disciplic succession, that Krishna tells the truth to a devotee, and the devotee tells it to another devotee, and that devotee tells another devotee, and then that knowledge is passed down like that. So this is the way to understand. So now Arjuna is asking a question. So we'll read the verse, text 16. Vaktum arhasya sheshena
Vaktum aha sheshenam
divya hyatma vibhutaya
divyatma vibhutaya
yabhir vibhuti vilokan
yabhye vibhuti bhilokan
imam stvam vyapya tishtasi.
imam tam vyaptatishtite. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these words.
So opulences, the word for that is vibhuti. Vibhuti, opulence. And actually that's in the title, right, for the chapter, the opulence at absolute. So this is in this chapter, it's explaining about the opulences of God. And that's in the title of the chapter itself, the opulence at absolute. And the word for that is vibhuti. So now, you know, Arjuna is asking, can you explain your vibhutis, your opulences, your energies like that? And interesting this comes up now because I just heard Prabhupada talk about this in a class today. And what he said is that in the beginning, don't expect you're going to see God. You can't expect you're going to see God in the very beginning when you want to know God, you want to understand God, but you can't expect God's just going to come down in a beam of light right in front of you and say, here I am, Gulshan, I'm here, Krishna, like that. That's not going to happen. We're not qualified to see him in his original spiritual form straight away. But we can still understand God through his energies. Through these vibhutis, through his energies, shaktis and vibhutis. And Prabhupada gave a very nice example. Even you can't see a fire. It's a very nice example. But if you see smoke, what do you know?
There must be the fire there.
There must be fire. You can't see the fire. This is a brilliant example. You can't see the fire, but if you see smoke, you automatically know there must be a fire somewhere. There must be a fire. You can't have smoke without fire. The smoke is the energy of the fire. And he said, if you feel the heat, what do you know?
The sun is there.
Yeah, there's some, either a fire or sun is there.
The sun,
you know, like the energy of the sun is heat and light. If you see the light, but you can't see the sun, but you see the light, what do you know? The sun must be there.
Must
right,
be
must be there. And the same, you can't see the fire, but you feel the heat or the smoke like that, you know there must be a fire somewhere. So like that way, we can understand that God exists even before we see God. We can see God's energies. So in the 7th chapter and in this 10th chapter, it talks about God's energies, and that's very important because for us at the stage we're at, that's all we're going to be seeing is his energies. We're not going to be seeing him directly, but we can see his energies at every second. Every second. Let's just look at some of them mentioned in the 10th chapter and in the 7th chapter, and then we'll come back. We'll come back to these. Where is it?
Number 4. Number 4? 7th?
No, 7th chapter, but after that, I think. Yep.
It's
Oh, yeah.
number
Let's
4
look at
says,
10. No, before that. 8.
8.
Yeah, 8.
O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of sun and the moon. The syllable Om is a Vedic mantra. I am the sound in either and ability in wind.
Next one.
Next one is I am the original fragrance of earth and the healer, the life of all lives, senses of all things. Next one.
Yep. The penances means austerities, and all ascetics. Ascetics means like yogis and stuff.
Yeah.
Next one, yeah. Keep going.
O son of Partha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the powers powerful men.
Prowess means the strength. Yeah.
Yeah. I am the strength of strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am the sixth life which is not contrary to religious principle, Lord of the Bharata. Arjuna is addressing to. And deluded by 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am about the modes and
Exhaustible, inexhaustible, never be exhausted. Yeah, so that's enough. So yeah, it's looking at different energies of Krishna here.
Yeah.
And I mean, who doesn't taste water? I mean, you're not going to be living if you don't taste water. So everyone is coming in contact with God's energy. When you drink water, has anyone not seen the sun in the day or the moon at night? We all do. Anyone hasn't seen a seed. Even if you see a seed, you can remember that Krishna is the seed of all the seeds. He's the original seed of everything, of all the seeds and so forth, just like the seed is the origin of the tree. So Krishna's the origin of everything. He's the strength of the strong. Has anyone not seen a strong person? Or your own strength?
Definitely.
Where does your own strength come from? Does anyone not have any intelligence or seen anyone else that has intelligence? So where does my intelligence come from? How am I able to remember some verses? Like I just quoted some verses. Where does that intelligence come from to remember verses? It comes from Krishna. I should know that. If I don't know that, then I'm an idiot. I'm in Maya. I should know that the intelligence that I have, it comes from Krishna. Without Krishna, and I mentioned last time, one time I was giving a class, I couldn't say anything because Krishna took the intelligence away.
Yeah.
It's not my intelligence. It's not my strength. It's Krishna's energy, and he's giving it to us. And if he wants, he can also take it away. So therefore, we should be very careful. We should be very humble. And then Krishna may give us more energy. And if we're proud and everything, Krishna may take the energy away. And a good example was with Arjuna himself, that after Krishna left this earth 5,000 years ago, Arjuna was given the responsibility to transport Krishna's 16,108 queens, to transport them to Dwarka, from Dwarka to another place. And some small pygmy type people just took the queens away from Arjuna, and Arjuna was completely incapable of protecting the queens from these small little people. And Arjuna was thinking, what happened? Previously, I fought great warriors easily with my Gandiva bow, and now my bow doesn't even work. I can't even use my bow anymore, and I couldn't protect the queens. And then he realized, Krishna's taken my strength away. Krishna's taken my, like he said, prowess of the powerful. Prowess means like skill, so Krishna's taken my skill with a bow and arrow away. So it's not my skill. It's not my strength, my intelligence. It's Krishna's energy. So like that, this is how we can perceive God, especially in the beginning. We have to learn how to do that, to perceive God not directly at the person, but through his energies. And like I say, they're all around us all the time, the energies. So in that way, if you learn to connect the energy with God, that the energy comes from God, if you learn to connect the two, God's energy with God, then you'll always remember God. That's the point. The point is, if you want to remember God, the best way to do it is every time you perceive that energy, you immediately connect the dots. There's that saying, right? There's a game where you connect the dots. So we just got to learn to connect the dots. The problem is people don't, like now I'm drinking water. Mostly we don't even think about it. We just think, oh, that's nice. But we never think that, oh, that's nice. I wonder who put that nice taste there. Krishna put that taste there. But we don't think enough. We don't connect the dots. We don't think who put that nice taste in the water. And that's Krishna. It's Krishna's energy. Krishna made the water so tasty. And when I'm working hard in the garden and I'm very thirsty and it's a hot day and you drink water, there's nothing so satisfying as drinking water when you're thirsty and it's a hot day. And then you can just remember, well, thank you, Krishna, for giving us this water with such nice taste, quenching my thirst like that. But so that's what it means. I mean, we've got to become Krishna conscious. So it's just becoming more conscious, more aware, and all these energies that we're perceiving around us, to link that with Krishna. And that way we'll always be remembering Krishna. When you see the sun, you'll remember Krishna. When you see the moon, when you taste the water, everything will remind us. When you lift up some heavy weight, when you're, using your brain to think about something, that everything will remind you of Krishna. Does that make sense? You want to say anything about that?
No, it's okay, all clear.
So here again, we're going to hear about some more opulences of Krishna that help us to constantly think of him, remember him. So yeah. So like I was saying, these opulences or energies, they pervade all these worlds. So that's everywhere. Everywhere. There's things everywhere that can remind us of Krishna. Even like let's look at the 7th chapter text 5, I think it is. I mean, you'd mentioned that, I think, before. Let's just read that one. 4.
Oh, yeah.
7th 4.
The earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute separated and material energies.
Yeah. So Krishna here is saying that earth is his energy, water is his energy, fire, air, space, mind, intelligence, false ego. So this is all his energy. So how can we forget Krishna? If you know that, how can you? Because where is there a place where there's no earth, no water, no fire? It's everywhere, all these things. Air is everywhere. You know, you smell the nice fragrance of the air. You just remember Krishna, that he's the nice fragrance, you know, the smell of the flower, the smell of the rose or whatever comes through the air. Then you remember that Krishna is the fragrance of the flower. He is that air that's passing through into your nose. You know, you're doing the pranayama. What are you doing? You're breathing in the air. Every time you take a breath, you can remember Krishna. I mean, who doesn't breathe? Everyone breathes.
Yeah.
But who is thinking that when they're breathing the air, that's Krishna they're breathing in? See, people, like I said, they're not connecting the dots. And that way, if you know how to connect the dots, then you can always be Krishna conscious. Like that. Krishna's energy. So this is what Arjuna is saying in this verse, by which you pervade all these worlds. You know, so these energies are everywhere, pervading all the worlds. So in the beginning, of course, Krishna is very hard to see. You won't be able to see him. But his energies are everywhere. So that's where we need to focus our efforts in the beginning, is learning to see God through his energies, not try to see God the person. Don't try to straight away try to see God the person, but try to understand him through his energies. Although we're very lucky, by the mercy of the devotee, has brought the deity Archavigraha, which is actually the person, God, in his deity form. Actually, there's no difference between the deity of God and the person God. There's no difference. And we know that from so many extraordinary pastimes, even with Jagannath and Jagannath Puri, extraordinary things. And with so many deities, Radha Krishna deities, Nitai Gora deities like that, so Nrsimhadev deities, so many extraordinary pastimes, that we can know that they're actually God himself has manifested himself in the form of the deity. But apart from the deity, you know, it's very difficult to see God. So we have to learn to see God through these energies. So that's what's being recommended here. And of course, Arjuna is seeing God directly. He doesn't need to just be thinking about the energies, you know, the air and the water and stuff. I mean, he's seeing Krishna face to face. But Arjuna is asking this question for our benefit, for the neophyte devotees. So Arjuna doesn't need to focus on seeing Krishna's energies, because he's seeing Krishna face to face. This is especially a process for us that are not yet qualified to see God face to face. We have to learn to remember him through his energies. Okay, so you can read the purport.
In this verse, it appears that Arjuna is already satisfied with his understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna has personal experience, intelligence, and knowledge, and whatever else his person may have. And through all these agencies, he had understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For him, there is no doubt, yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all providing nature, people in general, and impersonalists in particular concern themselves mainly with the all-providing nature of the Supreme. So Arjuna is asking Krishna how he exists in his all-providing aspect through his different energies. One should know that this is being asked by Arjuna on behalf of common people.
Yeah, so that's what I was explaining. This process is not necessary for Arjuna because he's seeing Krishna face to face, but he's asking this, how can we understand your energies for our benefit, for the common people? So let's look at the next one, text 17. Katam vidyam aham yogams
Katham vidyam aham yogam
tvam sada parichintayan
tvam sada parichityanam
keshu keshu cha bhaveshu
eshu keshu cha bhaveshu
kintyo si bhagavan maya.
yo asti Bhagavan Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various form are you to be remembered, or O Supreme Personality of Godhead?
So this is a further question on the same point. He wants Krishna to describe his various energies by which we can remember him in this world, like that. The Supreme Mystic. Jayanti, can you please stop that noise? It's interesting here that Arjuna addresses Krishna as a yogi.
Yeah,
Mystic. Yeah. It's actually mystical. All these energies are very mystical. How Krishna has expanded himself into all these energies, and then he can enter into all these energies. You know, like these processes that Krishna created are just inconceivable. They're just amazing. Like you have a tiny seed of, like, you know, like the gum trees in Australia, such big trees, those gum trees. Have you ever seen a gum tree seed? They're like tiny. They're like a millimeter. You know, they're just tiny seeds. And the whole tree, all the information to make that whole massive tree, 100-foot tall, is inside that millimeter seed.
Yeah.
And not only is the whole tree inside the seed, but each tree has thousands and thousands of seeds. And all those thousands and thousands of seeds in the whole tree is inside that seed. And that's just one small energy of Krishna. So in that way, you know, the devotee appreciates God as the greatest mystic, the greatest yogi. You know, because yogis are famous for doing things that are very hard to understand. Like there was one yogi going back in India when the British were ruling India, that he was walking around naked. And the British didn't like to see him walking naked. They said, put some clothes on or we'll throw you in jail. But he ignored them. So he kept walking naked. So they put him in jail. And so they locked him up. And the next day he was out walking naked again. And they put him back in jail. And the next day he's walking out naked again. So eventually they gave up. Because do you know what he was doing? He had animasity, which means he can shrink his body to a small size. So he was going out through the keyhole in the door. He was going out through the keyhole. So like that, yogis can do things that for the common people, very, very difficult to understand. Very amazing things. So like that, Krishna is the most amazing yogi, you know. Just like Krishna had 16,108 wives, and he expanded himself to be with every wife at the same time, doing different things. He was doing different things with every wife at the same time. So 16,108 Krishnas. When Krishna was doing the rasa dance with the gopis, he was dancing with every single gopi at the same time, and no other gopi could see the other Krishnas.
Yes.
So the gopi could only see Krishna next to her dancing, but she couldn't see the other Krishnas with the other gopis. So she thought, oh, Krishna loves me more than anyone else. And that way Krishna made them so attached to him, making them feel so good like that. But like Krishna's, he's the greatest of all yogis. He has so many powers, so many energies, so many powers. And so in that way, a devotee is not attracted to these ordinary yogis because we're attracted to the greatest yogi. He's known as the Yogeshvara. Yogeshvara. So yogi means yogi, and then Ishvara means the master or controller. So he's the most greatest yogi. Okay, so let's read the purport for this one.
As it is stated in the previous chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yoga Maya. Only surrendered soul of the devotee can see him. Now, Arjuna is convinced that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality, Supreme Godhead, but he wants to know the general process by which all the pervading Lord can be understood by the common man. Common man, including the demons and the atheists, cannot know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yoga Maya energy. Again, these questions are asked by Arjuna from their benefit. The Supreme Devotee is concerned not only for his own understanding, but for the understanding of all mankind. So Arjuna, out of his mercy, because he is Vaishnava, a devotee, is opening for the common man the understanding of all pervasiveness of the Supreme Lord. He addresses Krishna especially as Yogin because Sri Krishna is the master of Yoga Maya energy, by which he is covered and uncovered to the common man. The common man who has no love of Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. Therefore, he has to think materially. Arjuna is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic person of this world. The world, Keshu Keshu Cha Bhaveshu, refer to material nature. The word bhava means physical thing. Because materialistic cannot understand Krishna spiritually, they are advised to concentrate the mind on a physical thing and try to see how Krishna is manifested by physical representation.
So this is a very nice process. You know, a materialistic mindset, we cannot think of Krishna as a spiritual form, spiritual person. You know, he's unlimited person. You know, you try to understand that Krishna is an unlimited person. He is a spiritual form, Satchidananda. He's blue, plays a flute. And it's very difficult for ordinary person to understand how all the universes can come out of a little blue boy and everything like that. It's beyond their comprehension. But this is a very nice process that just by observing the things around us, the earth and the water and the fire and the air and and our strength, our intelligence, the taste of water and so forth, that we can remember God. We can remember God through this process. Because like it's saying in the beginning, the purport, only surrendered souls and devotees can see him. So only the most qualified, purified souls, the devotees, pure devotees, can see God face to face. But that's not an obstacle, because Krishna has given us this process that we can see him through his energies. And that we can remember him. Yeah, you're going to say something?
No.
What did you say?
No, I'm okay. Just listening.
So at the bottom of the purport, it's saying physical things. So this is what, even a materialistic person, of course, we can see physical things. So, but through those physical things, we can, like it's saying, advise to concentrate the mind on physical things and try to see how Krishna is manifested by physical representations like that. And back to that beautiful example, like you see the smoke, then you can immediately remember, you can think that, oh, there is a fire somewhere. You feel the heat, you can understand that there is a fire somewhere, that the sun is there somewhere. You see the light, and you can immediately understand that the sun is somewhere. So like that is a beautiful process, but we've just got to know the link. Like we know the link between smoke and fire. We know the link between heat and fire, light and the sun. We just got to, through the Bhagavad Gita, we're learning the link between water and Krishna, between strength and Krishna, intelligence and Krishna, earth and Krishna, water and Krishna, like that. So it's just understanding that link. And that's not difficult. That's not difficult. But the problem is that people are ignorant of this process, and ignorant of that these are all God's energies. We're taught in our stupid education system that there's no one in control of all these energies, that it's only energies. That's what we educated. This is the problem that needs to be corrected. We're educated wrongly that it's just energies. There's no one in control. And that's the demoniac nature, is that we think it's just energies around us, earth, water, fire, air and space, mind, intelligence, so forth, water, all these things that we're drinking. And we don't think there's anyone in control of it. But that's the demoniac nature. So let's look at that demoniac mentality. And then we have to correct that. So the 16th chapter, which we looked at this recently, we'll look at it again. So text number 8, 16th chapter, text 8.
They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex, desire, and has no cause other than lust.
So this process is so easy. You just taste the water and remember Krishna. You see the sunlight and you remember Krishna. But the obstacle to this easy process is this wrong education. That no, there's no God behind the water. No, there's no God behind the sun. That's just the sun. That's just the moon. There's no one in charge of my strength. There's no one in charge of my intelligence. Now it's my strength. It's not Krishna's strength. So this is our demoniac mentality. And that's the only thing that's stopping us from remembering Krishna through this easy method. But the problem is we've become demons just through this, association. And then that's like what I said, if you want to take the devotional service, you have to give up bad association. You can't, I couldn't believe it recently. One Prabhupada disciple, and he'd become a sannyasi, and he had disciples. And he's recently just turned away from all that. And now he's saying he believes in modern science.
How that
He's
happened?
he says he's an atheist now.
Is he in
So
India?
he's, I mean, and like this verse is saying that why Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Yogin, because Sri Krishna, so back to our verse for today, because Sri Krishna is the master of yoga maya energy, which he is covered and uncovered to the common man. So this devotee's been covered again. Krishna's the yogi, so he's covered over that devotee's intelligence. So and now this man, I mean, this who was a devotee, is just saying, I believe in science.
Yeah, so is that Krishna did it or he used his free will?
Okay?
Is that Krishna did it or he used his free will?
Because that devotee misused his free will. For that to happen, for that devotee to fall down so badly, is obviously due to offenses. So because of offenses, he must have offended some devotees or something like that. For Krishna to punish him so severely and make him an atheist again, then the only way that's possible was as a reaction to offenses. And that is because, he might have misused, I don't know all the details, I don't want to speculate too much. But the danger is, see, if you get a position like that, you become a guru, you become a sannyasi, you're a big so-called big devotee, and you become proud. And then maybe you abuse other devotees or exploit them or something like that. And then Krishna's going to kick you in the bum.
Yes.
Krishna's going to kick you like you're going to land 1 million miles away. Siberia is not far enough. He's going to kick you up the bum, if you, mistreat devotees or something like that, or abuse your position or something like that. So that is the danger, is aparad, is Vaishnava aparad and everything like that. So I would suggest that for a devotee to turn around like that, to become a so-called atheist after being a guru, is he must have done some severe bad aparad.
Yeah, lots of people were talking about it.
And other people have been commenting on the post that, that he was like that. He was very proud, and he committed some offenses and like that. So yeah, Krishna's he's in control of Maya. He can take Maya away so that you can remember him, or he can cover you up so thickly you just think, you're the body and you're going to enjoy sex, drugs, rock and roll, eat, drink, and be merry, and science is the way and the truth and the life, and we all come from monkeys and started from a big bang, so Krishna can put that in your head too, but Krishna's doing that according to what's in your heart. Do you in your heart you want to serve Krishna? Then Krishna's going to take Maya away and help you remember him. But in your heart, do you want to be Krishna? Do you want to be God? Do you want to be the center of everything and enjoy? And Krishna knows what's in your heart, and according to that, then he will make all those arrangements.
Yes.
But so it's both together. Yes, he is in control, but he controls everything according to what's the desire of that soul.
Yes.
So it's both together, and you get the outcome. But it's not that we're robots, zombies, and he just does everything, whatever he wants. And it's not that we're completely free to do whatever we want either. So it's both of that together, and then that's what happens. Krishna's in your heart. He sees you have a desire. Either the desire is only two. It's either you desire to serve him, you want to be a devotee, or you want to be him. You want to enjoy as God, like that. And we read that also later on in the 16th chapter, what's what's ticking in the mind of the demon, what's in their heart. 13 to 15, 16th chapter, 13 to 15.
Yeah. The powerful, the demonic person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So it is mine now, and it is increased in the future more and more. He is my energy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am the perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy. I am. I shall perform sacrifice. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such person is deluded by ignorance. You know what this sounds like? What are the whole words? Sounds like one person in the world, Donald Trump.
But nearly everyone is a little Trump.
Yes.
There's big ones and little ones, but we all have that Trump mentality.
Yeah, Trump is a businessman, and he always think, better for his business, and I'm the powerful man. I'm the one this. So little Trump is in everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you've done, some good karma or whatever, you get to become the big Trump. And if you have bad karma, you're just a little Trump. So but we're all the same. But the mentality is widespread. The mentality. I mean, who isn't it that isn't like it's saying here? Who is there that doesn't want to have more and more wealth? Who is it that doesn't want to get rid of their enemies? Who is it that isn't thinking, I'm the Lord of everything, I'm the enjoyer, I'm perfect, I'm powerful, I'm happy, I'm the richest man, like that. Everyone's thinking like that. I'm powerful, I'm happy. If you ask anyone, how are you doing? So, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy. That's all they care about. I'm happy. And you got Trump saying I'm happy, and you got all the little Trump saying I'm happy, but they're just same mentality, just in different dress, different position, but the mentality is the same. If you've accumulated good karma, you get to become the president of the USA. And if you don't have that good karma, then you remain just some guy working some job, but he has the same desires. But this mentality is an obstacle for Krishna consciousness, because then you're not going to connect the dots. You're not going to admit that Krishna is the taste and water. You're not going to admit that your strength comes from Krishna. You're not going to admit that your brain power comes from Krishna. You're not going to admit that your wealth comes from Krishna, your house comes from Krishna, your kids come from Krishna, your relatives come from Krishna, that all the good things in your life came from Krishna. Like that. You're not gonna admit that. You're not gonna admit that because you're proud. You don't want to accept that there's someone in control of everything. That's too difficult for a envious demon to accept. That there's someone bigger controller than them. Someone that's controlling over us. They don't want to think about that. They don't want to. That's like horrible. To think that there's someone that's dominating over me, that I'm the servant. Like if you said to common people that we are the servant of Krishna, they're going to spit on your face. No, I'm not. I'm nobody's servant like that, isn't it? I don't want to be a servant. Who wants to be a servant? I don't want to be a servant. I'm the master. I want to be the boss. I want to be the CEO. I don't want to be the small guy at the bottom. I want to be the big guy at the top. So this kind of demoniac mentality is a big obstacle, and then we can't take advantage that it's easy to remember Krishna just all around us. But no, we don't want to see that we don't want to. It's like, so I don't want to see that the smoke comes from the fire. I don't want to. It's so obvious, but I don't want to. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that the smoke comes from the fire. It's only smoke. It's just smoke. No fire, just smoke. It's like that. It's in the same way. You know, it's just energy. It's just energy, but there's no God. No, like that. How could we not connect the dots? It's just because we don't want to. It's that stubbornness in our own, you know, mind, like it's mentioned here, deluded by ignorance, our own mind in the mode of ignorance, that we don't want to accept there's someone other than us that's in control like that. And that's the whole thing with modern science. It's all about we can control nature, isn't it? It's demoniac completely. And this idiot devotee, you know, was a devotee, now he's an idiot. And he's thinking now science is the truth and the life and everything. But it's so dumb, you know, thinking that we can control nature, you know, through science like that. Now science is so advanced. Now we're going into robots. Now we're going to AI and all these things.
AI. Yes.
But 1,000 years ago, people were suffering, and 200 years ago, people were suffering, and now we have science, modern science. Are people not suffering anymore?
Still suffering.
Still suffering. So
course.
what have we got out of so-called science? Even we have robots and AI and everything, we're still suffering. So where is that we're like God, that we can control? Where's the evidence that we have succeeded in controlling nature? Because if we had succeeded at controlling nature, then stop growing old, stop getting sick, stop dying, you know, stop war, you know, stop drought, stop too much hot, too much cold, too much rain, not enough rain, you know, stop all those things that are making us suffer. But they can't do anything. If anything they're achieving through science is increasing the war. Now we just push one button, release a missile, and just kill thousands at one go. And we see the destruction is just crazy. Whole cities just flattened to the ground. People's lives completely ruined. One of the first missiles American fired, they wiped out that school in Iran, just killed all the girls. Poor little girls, just killed all the girls. Is that's advancement of science? If that's advancement of science, that sucks. That completely sucks. Well, where's the advancement in science? It's horrible.
It's all done by Krishna's authority anyway.
I know that, but I'm just pointing out the demoniac mentality that, you know, we put all our faith, we don't want to put our faith in God, we put our faith in, say, like this devotee did it in science. But it's so stupid. What are you going to get out of science? They just spoil your life. If we put our faith in Krishna, he's actually going to look after us. Like I said, Kubja, the hunchback, she became a beautiful woman. You know, Arjuna, he became the king of the emperor of the planet. You know, you look at the life of any devotee that's surrendered to Krishna, their life becomes so happy afterwards. You look at the life of anyone that's surrendered to the scientists, their life sucks. You know, ultimately they grow old, get sick and die. And it's like nothing. And then they go to hell, you know, according to this what's mentioned here. And it's mentioned in this verse, 16th chapter, text 16.
Yeah.
Chapter text 16, thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down to hell. So is that a good result? You didn't want to surrender to Krishna, but you surrendered to some stupid scientist. And then what's the result? Your life is full of anxiety. You're completely in an illusion. You're in anxiety. And then because you're just trying to satisfy your senses, after your body dies, then you go to hell. So what kind of good result is that? That, you know, the real we're into, it's not that we're not into science, but the real science is a spiritual science, and that if you engage in pleasing Krishna's senses, then you're going to go back home, back to Godhead. Yeah, the science means you follow a process and you get a result. That's the basic principle of science. You have a theory, and then you make an experiment, which is a process that you follow. You make an experiment, and then by doing the experiment, you're going to get a result. And that whole chain of events, that's called science. You have a theory, you make an experiment, and you get a result. But what I'm pointing out is, you know, through this demoniac people who call themselves scientists and so forth, you know, you follow their process, and the result you get, like mentioned here, is you go to hell. But if you follow the Krishna conscious process, you know, you go back home, back to Godhead. Now let's look at that. We'll just finish with this one. 9th chapter text. It's right at the end. Is it 34? 30. What's the last verse of? Yeah, 34. Yeah, 9:34.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisance to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
That's science. That's science.
Yeah.
You follow that process, make that experiment, see what is the result. Surely you will come to me. Mama Vaishashi means, you know, completely you will come. You know, it's like no doubt about it. The same verses, the first two lines are the same, mentioned in the 18th chapter. He says it again, which is a conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, 1865, which is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me as a offer your homage unto me, thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
So there's like no doubt. It's like, this is science. It's just clear. It's just a fact. The fact is, this is the result you're going to get, is, you know, truly, surely you will come to me. You know, no more miseries, no more birth, death, old age, disease. All miseries finish, complete finish. You know, so this is the real science, the spiritual science, like that. But it comes down to that, what's in your heart, you know, that because to get that good result, you have to serve Krishna. But if in your heart you don't want to serve Krishna, then you're going to get cheated by Krishna's Maya, and like that, until we can. And that punishment by Krishna's Maya is eventually what it's going to do is bring us around to surrendering to Krishna.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the person's probably that soul's still going to come to Krishna, but they have to be kicked and thrashed and stomped on, you know, for 100 lifetimes, you know, before they're, you know, I give up, Krishna. Okay, now I surrender, you know, because we don't want to surrender. That's the problem, you know. But so Krishna's Maya brings us towards surrendering. That pride gets crushed. Slowly, that pride gets crushed like that. And then when we become truly humble, when you're humble, then you're ready to, okay, yes, I want to serve you, Krishna. And then you can connect all the dots, and okay, Krishna's the light of the sun and the moon, and the, you know, the taste in water and the fragrance of the air and everything. Then it's easy. But the only difficulty is in us if we don't want to surrender. Then it's become impossible.
Of course, impossible.
Nice. So yeah, we might see you for another week or two before you head off, huh?
Yeah.
Good.
And then I'll head off, and then I'll the internet and stuff like that would
Sure.
be, and then I'm sure
Like you
I'll
said,
find
just go
some-
with the flow.
go
Yeah.
with the flow and the dry
Yeah.
leaf wherever the wind can take. That's fine with that. But
Yeah.
I'll get some hand on some voluntary work. That's what I'm looking online. Whatever
Yeah.
the voluntary work I can